Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zahab. We are buzzing as always, still coming in hot from lovely Mexico. Guys, we might be back. We are recording on Monday, March 24th. This epi is going to air 1 week later on the 31st of March. And guys, we literally might be back. We got some green across the board. We have the TradFi markets ripping as well. So we've been praying the last 6 weeks, guys. I've been praying to the good Lord, whatever Lord you do, pray to, that we could get some green across the board. And we finally have that. So I am a happy dude this morning. Super pumped to have our guest on the show today, the one and only Darius Tabai, CEO and co-founder of Vertex Protocol, a leading DEX built on Arbitrum. We love the Arbitrum team as well. I've had them on too. Darius is an experienced trader with a history of working in FX, commodities, and crypto, and his previous roles include head of trading at JST Digital, head of trading at CrossTower, global head of metals trading at Merrill Lynch, and the global head of precious metals trading at Credit Suisse. He also holds a BSc in government and economics from the London School of Economics. Darius, what a bio. Welcome to the show, mate. How are you this lovely afternoon?
Wow, I'm good, yeah. I got to talk to the PR guys about the degree. That's kind of like a defunct piece of information at this point. It's 20 years old, but yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Nice to see you.
You as well, mate. Do you think, heck, might as well start with the market here. Do you think we're back, or do you think we got a bit more pain?
I think we're still in the range. I think until we start to see like some clarity around the trade tariff stuff, it's going to be hard for markets to sustain a rally, but we've been so beaten down for a number of weeks that I think we were overdue a little bit of a relief. So it's nice to see it rally a bit. I still have my fingers crossed to see what comes out in the next month or so around tariffs, and that's going to set the tone, I think, for the rest of the year.
100%. Let's jump into your background in London for a sec. I worked for one of the, way back in the day, in my very early 20s, Monex Global, one of the largest FX firms in the world. Not sure if you've heard of them or not, but did, trillions of dollars in FX per year. You've done some FX yourself, but I got to spend 2 weeks in London and I was just amazed and fell in love with the sort of finance culture there. Taking the tube to work, or everyone is walking to work. You have guys making a stupendous amount of money, millions of pounds a year, literally taking the tube, which you don't see, I feel like, in a lot of other places in the world, which I thought was super cool. Everyone works their ass off, gets a nice little lunch, maybe a cheeky pint or two at lunch. And then right after work, it's just straight to the pub, 4 or 5 pints, maybe a couple cigs. If that's your cup of tea, go back, see the lady, see the fam, and rinse and repeat, do it again. You must have a couple good stories from us as you were head of trading at a lot of these firms. Any in particular that stand out? Just set the stage for kicking off the pod here.
Wow, that's a good question. Which ones are suitable for the pod? Which ones are not?
Oh, this is rated R. You can let it fly.
I think you put your finger on it. Like, are you from New York originally? Or Canadian, you said?
Toronto. So we have finance, but nothing like Wall Street.
Yeah, so like even in New York, I think the difference is like it's pretty spread out, right? Like you have a lot of things on Wall Street, but then a lot of things are in Midtown. It's spread all over. It's quite diffuse. The nice thing about London is the City of London and Canary Wharf are two pretty small areas. The city's a square mile, and Canary Wharf's probably smaller than that. And so the pure density of people doing finance is so intense. And so what you get, as you said, is that forces everyone to use public transport. Everyone comes in together. Everyone's on the same timetable. And so like when I first started in the city 20 years ago, the drinking culture was for real. Like very intense.
Yeah.
And like as a junior, you were sort of expected to play hard as much as work hard.
Yeah.
It was kind of a test. Like you hadn't passed unless you'd done a few nights where you were out till 3, 4 a.m. and then on the desk at 5:30 a.m. And some people like slept under the desk. Some people would get a hotel next to work. It was kind of crazy. Like you do sort of a lot of crazy shit. And that started really when you were doing internships. In terms of crazy stories, I can remember going out and we went to like very funky burlesque show, and I met the lady from Avatar. It was quite fun. We ended up getting in a little bit of a discussion there. Or, there's just so many like little great spots in the city where you can go and eat and drink and hang out. I still, to this day, I haven't worked in the city for over 10 years at this point. I still like going there and going for lunch and meeting people. It's just a great buzz. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Just an electric feeling that you can't really describe unless you've been there. I still miss that. And again, I feel like you and I'm putting words in your mouth here. Perhaps you work from home, perhaps you don't. But I work from home, and unless I have a client who wants me to come into the office for a couple of days, I work from home, and I really miss that camaraderie because it's different shooting the shit with your work friends versus your boys,
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. It's a really nice vibe to be able to go, everyone would go for a pint after work on a Thursday or Friday. You'd hang out, you'd get to catch up on home life, and it was nice. There was a real end to the day. I think when you work in crypto, it's hard to get an end to your day.
Exactly.
And a start to your day. Everything just kind of merges into one, especially with the markets open on the weekend. It was nice to have weekends off and get that sort of downtime.
Yeah, well said. Let's jump into crypto for a sec here. Give us the elevator pitch on Vertex and tell us why you and the team chose to build on Arbitrum. I mean, I'm a big Arbitrum guy. The speed, the low fees, EVM compatibility. It's world class, and a lot of incredible teams have decided to build on Arb for a reason. Why did you guys do that? And sort of tie in the elevator pitch of Vertex, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, so Vertex is a perp stacks. It's a perp stacks that sits on top of Borrowland. So everything's like integrated, works through an order book super fast. It means that you can deposit various things as a collateral and just out of the box trade. And now we operate actually across a number of different chains. So we're active on 7 different chains. Arbitrum was where we started out. So we got a lot of love for the Arbitrum ecosystem and the team there. I think when we first launched, it was 3.5 years ago that we kind of made the commitment to launching on Arbitrum, almost 4 years. They were just by far and away the standout L2 in our mind. There really weren't many options there going. Now we're in a universe where there's just a whole bunch of different chains and the sort of game has changed. And so the current incarnation of Vertex is really integrated, is focused on integrating all these chains together and spreading perps liquidity across all of them. So that's our big focus at the moment, but we really come from a focus on UX, making everything work, super slick trading experience.
Yeah, especially with your background. I mean, you were literally head of trading at a multitude of massive firms. So, and I want to get into that for a sec. The perp DEXs, again, whenever I'm sure it's the exact same as you. All of my normie friends are always asking me questions, and some of my, my day ones and the people I really love, I'll always give them the time, whether it's a phone call, voice note, a long message. But I often get about features, leverage, perpetual trading, and for people who don't trade and have just had experience in buying a Tesla share or buying a Google share and just seeing it go up or down, they don't really get it. I have my version of explaining it. How do you explain to someone when they say, hey, Darius, what is a perp DEX? The DEX is easy, the decentralized exchange, but how do you tell them, how do you sort of explain perpetual futures to them?
Yeah, so it's a great question. There's kind of so many different layers to it.
Yeah.
So I think part of the issue is leverage in and of itself is complex, right? Which is what you're describing. Then getting on chain is complex. Then crypto has its own level of complexity again, just on top of being on chain, right? How do you on ramp and off ramp? How do you, do your taxes, whatever it is. So what we found is actually the level of people that tend towards using a perp DEX tends to be pretty experienced.
100%.
They tend to be a little bit more in the weeds. I think actually the problem we need to solve is how do we get to the users that you're talking about? And that means education is part of it. So, explaining you trade a derivative, effectively you're borrowing to take a bigger position in an underlying and getting that bit of education over, but then also working on wallet experience, working on ramping, off ramping, working on UX more generally. As Vertex, we can work on some of these things, but then some of these other things we're reliant on third parties to build. I think the space is getting there, but it's not there quite yet.
Yeah, no, totally. What I sort of say is I just give them okay, if you buy a Tesla share and it drops 50%, you lose 50% of your value. Whereas with perps and leverage, it's you have not infinite upside, but you have pretty near infinite upside, and also not infinite, but you can lose it all. That's sort of that's how I tell them. I'm if you buy a share on a traditional stock exchange for $1, it goes down 50%. Those shares are still worth 50 cents. But if you have 10x leverage and it goes down 50%, you're liquidated. So your position is gone. And then they're sort of like, wasn't that gambling? And I'm like, that's exactly what it is. It's gambling. Yes. So it's tough to explain, you know, and I do think that the Gen Pop would really, I feel like that's a use case of crypto where a lot of people would get on board. I mean, present day, look at all the gambling use cases. Gambling is everywhere now. The ads are being pushed right down everyone's throats. And this is a way of gambling with way more upside than usual. And I think this can be one of those sort of catalysts to onboard a lot of the people to crypto as well.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Darius, let's keep talking about Vertex. What makes you guys unique? I mean, super high speeds, sub 100 milliseconds latency, you know, cross margining, portfolio margin, off-chain matching, you name it. Walk me through some of the sort of key features that you guys have and what differentiates you from, you know, the other DEXs. And this is something that I'm just so interested in because, again, when choosing a DEX, like there's so many of them. And as someone who owns a DEX, like how do you guys sort of try to find that product market fit? Like, how do you be different as a DEX?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, like I think the real thing we focused on all the way along has been UX and performance. So we're looking at speed, throughput, but then like interoperability. So like looking at how you can trade spot versus perp. So you can do things like basis trading, or you can do things like taking loans and using perps to hedge yourself when you get close to a liquidation level, or you can do various like farming strategies for airdrops. Vertex is sort of trying to be as flexible as possible to what you will want to do, and then it's up to you what you want to do with it, you know? And now that we have it interoperable across a number of chains, it just means that users are exposed to a number of different farming opportunities, number of different chains, and it means that like we're exposed to different users as well. So one of the things we observed is, yes, you have degens that go from chain to chain looking for the next opportunity, but some people just sit in a chain. And if you want to get those users, you've got to go to them to get them on your platform.
Yeah, well said there. One thing that I love about you guys is the UX, and I've said this many times, where it's like the best UX in all of crypto by a country mile, in my opinion, is centralized exchanges. They run so smooth, and, you know, normies can easily jump on board and see them. And a lot of DEXs like yourself are doing a really good job at trying to create that centralized exchange UX sort of improvements. What main parts of that, like what's the secret sauce of making a DEX feel like a SEX?
I think for us, the main thing has been our sequencer. So we have a sequencer we call Edge. Edge gives us that speed, that like feeling of kind of instant finality that you can't get from being on chain. So we're building that out as a like distributed compute system that we'll use to power all of the network. But right now, it just gives that sort of intense speed, because one of the problems we observed with on-chain stuff is, you know, when you get a failed transaction or things don't go through, or gas goes very high and the chain slows down, you're just never going to get that Web 2 type experience users are looking for. And it's the reason people keep going to SEXs, right?
Yeah, 100%. And the next sort of step, what does the next evolution of DEXs look like? Like we've seen a lot of, I mean, you see tons of new companies come into play. Hyperliquid's extremely trendy right now. I still don't know why everyone loves them so much. I think it's just the traditional, like, you know, paying of influencers on crypto Twitter. I haven't messed around with Hyperliquid, but again, everyone is talking about them. Everyone loves them. You guys are getting a lot of mind share on crypto Twitter or X as well. But what is that next evolution? What's that next realm, the next look and feel of decentralized exchanges look like in your eyes?
I think we've seen convergence with SEXs, and people will start to like offer new products. They'll start to encroach on the TradFi space. So people will want to do like equities or commodities or products like this. I think at the same time, we're probably overdue a bunch of consolidation in the space.
Yeah.
The truth is like 5 to 10 of those are viable. The rest are just going to go the way of the wind, in my opinion. There's just no chance that like on the volumes that you see that 150 different trading venues are going to carry on existing. So I actually think there's going to be this sort of divergence where for lots of people, they're going to go out of business. For the people that come through that, you'll see like a tremendous amount of upside.
Yeah, good point there. Look, you're on a roll. Got to take a quick break. Give a huge shout out to our sponsor of the show. When we get back, we are going to talk about some Bridges technology, security concerns, a couple of your guys' partnerships, and meme coins, which have been on the rise. Well, a little dump, but back on the rise again. Until then, huge shout out to Prime XBT, longtime friends and sponsors of the Crypto News podcast. We love the team at Prime XBT as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet. You can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News pod. Use the promo code CryptoNews50, that's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Memes. We got to jump into memes for a sec. First 2 months of the year, not even first 2 months, the first 6 weeks there is with Trump, Melania, with Libra, memes are on an absolute roll, and those three sort of crushed us all together. So many retail folks coming in who got absolutely crushed. That was their first touch point in crypto. Many crypto natives got absolutely crushed as well. But the rise of meme coins and how you guys have played in part with this as well. All the DEXs now super quick. Whenever a meme sort of starts to rip, it is now present on a DEX as well. You guys offer Degen, Brett, Trump, Harris. You had a Trump perp back in January. Walk me through just sort of the influence of memes on DEXs, on you guys in particular. And I think it'd be cool if you could also let us know how you guys onboard memes, because a lot of meme coins, when you can't go to the company and say, hey, we're going to buy X amount of supply so it can be tradable. I've heard, and I've never really fact checked this for sure, but I've heard that their DEXs actually have to go buy a shit ton of coins to then bring it on their exchange to then make it tradable. So walk me through the influence of memes and how you guys, get these memes that don't have a centralized vendor on your protocol as well.
I actually think the meme thing got kind of a little bit out of hand with pump.fun, right? Because it was just like such a wave of things coming into the market. No one could really it was a tidal wave of crap basically, right? So there was just no quality control of things coming through. I think actually with that settling in, it's been pretty healthy. The market was just like very hungry for it, 3 to 6 months ago. That seems to have quietened down now. So I would actually expect the speed of meme listings to go down a decent amount. I just don't think people want it in the same way that they did. There's been a lot of dilution, and Trump sort of marked the high of that, really, right? The issue of those coins just sort of was the pico top of meme mania. For us, weirdly, for a perp listing, it's kind of simple. Once a market gets to a certain size, you just list it and then market makers will make the price and they do the rest. You don't need any supply or anything. So it's kind of easy. If you start to go down the food chain, then you've got to do a little bit more work around these things. So it can be a little bit more challenging. But yeah, it's kind of easy to do. It's just the bits that are difficult are maintaining liquidity and making sure the thing's tradable. But like actually getting it listed and getting it trading when it's hot is easy. And so it's not that big a deal. I think for spot DEXs is a much bigger thing. Like if you want to get that coin going and get it, you just have to have inventory.
Interesting. Okay. So that's only for a perp DEX like you guys, again, you can have the market maker come on, they add liquidity as well, or whoever that may be, but only spot DEXs, just to clarify, need to actually buy the token themselves.
Yeah.
Interesting. Gotcha. Okay. Super cool. Another point that you have talked about many times that I love, and I feel like this is a bit of a hot take nowadays, is the need for sharing liquidity across blockchains as opposed to fragmenting it. And again, to my knowledge, you guys have built some incredible infrastructure like Edge or using rather to enable this. But I've had tons of guests on the show, even in the last 6 months, Darius, where like they take the exact opposite standpoint, where they're like, no, we need more, not centralized for lack of better words, but more siloed liquidity to really make that ecosystem grow. Why do you think fragmented liquidity is good across the board?
I don't think fragmented liquidity is good, right? Like we're trying to bring it together, I guess, across different chains. I think the fragmentation's inevitable. Like most people will say like, oh, you just want this chain to die or this to happen. But the truth is at the moment, we're in an ecosystem where chains are spinning up all over the place and the consolidation hasn't happened in a way that one might expect. And so people need serving. You see that Arbitrum have made a focus on this now, which is to like do interoperability stuff across a number of different chains. I think we're sort of playing in the same waters. I think interoperability is like really important in the world we find ourselves in. Until you see some kind of massive consolidation with the way it's working, I just can't see that happening anytime soon.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. Then that's my bad there. I misread a previous quote that I had when doing research for the show, but no, totally on me. Look, a couple more things here before we wrap up, as we're getting a little tight for time. You guys have tons of announcements over the last little bit. You recently launched as the launch partner for the perp DEX of SNIC, which is huge. Previously Phantom, super trendy, and these guys did 166 mil in the first week following the launch. That's massive. What's your 2 cents on SNIC? I mean, based off what everyone else is saying, a lot of people think that these guys have the guns, have the liquidity, have, everything that's needed to become one of the big boys, sort of like back in the day with Phantom and FTM.
Yeah, like we deal a lot with them directly. The team's super scrappy, just like really aggressive, moving very fast. You see it with the ecosystem. And like that energy is infectious, right? Like people want to be involved with it. It feels fun. They very much stuck to their guns. When you talk to Andre, he's like a proper OG DeFi guy. So he's just really focused on making DeFi work. And it's really nice to talk to a chain founder directly who's deep in the weeds, understands DeFi, and he's bullish on getting things on his platform. So you as a founder, when you talk to him, it's very energizing. Like you want to be involved in that ecosystem and make things work. And so, yeah, working with them has been great. We really like it there. We've got a few announcements coming up soon, which I think will be pretty exciting. So by the time this comes out, we should have token liquidity on chain and a bunch of stuff going there, which will make Vertex feel more native to SNIC. So yeah, we're really excited about that team and about the chain and seeing what we can do with the community.
Darius, we are getting a little tight for time here. Last thing, mate, before we wrap up here, you guys announced a partnership with Bro.Trade back in January to revolutionize trading on Berachain. Didn't hear about Bro.Trade until doing research for the show. Love the name, super simple, super cool as well. Professional grade perps on and instant liquidity on Berachain. Was this sort of the same thing? It's just like Berachain, super new and trendy, SNIC, super new and trendy. You've got to jump on board. Like walking through that partnership and how you guys locked that up.
Yeah, so, Berachain's a pretty unique ecosystem. They have a very community-focused kind of orientation with POL and the various other things they're doing there. And so there was an opportunity where we met the Bro.Trade team. The idea is they run a front end on top of Vertex technology. So users on Berachain get Vertex liquidity and Vertex tech, but they get a customized local experience where that team runs their own points program, runs their own competitions, and runs their own interaction with POL. So it's kind of Berachain. It's a bit of a mullet, right? It's Berachain in the front and it's Vertex in the back type of thing.
Love it. Darius, great episode. Appreciate you coming on, mate. Before we let you go, can you please let our listeners know where they can find you personally and Vertex online and on socials?
Sure thing. If you go to vertexprotocol.com, you can find me at Darius Tabai on Twitter, and you can find us at Vertex_protocol. We got a decent amount of incentive campaigns working on SNIC, say, AVAX right now. SNIC's obviously super hot, but those other campaigns are also pretty decent. Yeah, we'd love to get people involved and get some feedback.
Appreciate you coming on, mate. Folks, what an episode with Darius Tabai, CEO and co-founder of Vertex Protocol. We touched a little bit of everything: perpetual trading, the ins and outs of perps, DeFi infrastructure, UX improvements, all the partnerships they have done, some liquidity across blockchains, and a big deep dive into ARB as well. Huge shout out to Darius and the team for making this happen. If you guys enjoyed this one, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, love you guys. Thank you for everything as always. And back to the listeners, keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.